A Tall and Small Collection, Season 2, Chapter 30. Mailroom Promises. The family had just arrived back home after their day at the park. Cloud watching had been a smashing success, but they were all ready to go home and put Maisie down for a quick afternoon nap by the end of it. There were no other people nearby when they came into the main lobby, though a couple of kids who were on a play date came bursting into the elevator and rode up a few floors before running off toward their friend's apartment. The keys jingled their familiar tune as Ashlynn slipped them into the lock and entered the living room. The warm sun's light reflected off of the glass from distant buildings, casting an luminous golden glow in Ashlynn's home as she made her way up to her apartment. The Borrower brothers, Maisie especially, had collected various things while they were out. Shiny pebbles and stones, acorn fragments and their tops, which Maisie found to be a very amusing party hat, and flowers, which Ashlynn promised she would help press so they could paste them onto Maisie's bedroom wall when the time came. "When will we get to go back?" asked Ray as he piled up some of the stone fragments he had collected into a fort-like structure. "Some day soon, I hope. We'll have to pick another overcast day during the afternoon when other people won't be around," said Ashlynn, as she carefully placed the flowers into a few pieces of parchment paper and pressed them into one of her thickest books, followed by a few clamps she had in her supply drawer. "Well, let's make it soon. I want to build a proper fort, and build one of those evil catapults you showed me in that book," said Ray, as he stacked the stones precariously. "You mean medieval?" "Sure, we can do that," said Ashlynn. Soren laid Maisie down onto the blanket fort she had attempted to climb it earlier that morning. "You plan on creating a castle?" asked Soren as he made sure Maisie was tucked in properly before facing his brothers. "Oh, well, yeah," said Ray. "I mean, wouldn't it be great to build our own castle? We'd have a fortress with all sorts of defenses, fireplaces, and stoves like in ye olde days." Okay, chuckled Soren as he stepped up and ruffled his youngest brother's hair. "We'll see what happens. If you want to make more than a fire pit, you'll need loads more rocks than what you have now." Ashlynn grinned as she listened to the brothers. Ray began talking about all of his grand plans and went over to his notepad and began showing Soren his sketches and schematics that he'd drawn up. He talked about how to make a drawbridge and how they could use the gears from old devices to make things move and turn. What an imagination and drive he has, thought Ashlynn. She glanced over at the door before seeing the time on her phone. She remembered the mail had run already today, but she didn't grab it on the way up since she had the Borrower family with her. "Well, while you all finish making your plans for your fortress, I'm going to go grab the mail really quick," said Ashlynn. The brothers nodded, Ray not missing a beat in his explanation for what he wanted to create for them, and Ashlynn stood and made her way back out of the apartment. The elevator ride was uneventful, but Ashlynn's mind was preoccupied with how to make Ray's dream real. Was there a lighter material than stones that they could use to build this fort? Obviously, they could just make the outside look like stone, but Ray sounded like he wanted close to authentic. She'd need to think about it, but something else immediately jarred her out of her train of thought when she went into the mailroom. Sam. The young boy was standing in front of his mailbox with the key. Undoubtedly, he was fetching the letters and bills as part of his chores, but the timing was fortuitous. No one else was there. They were there on their own. Ashlynn didn't want to scare the boy, but she wanted to make sure he knew she was aware of their shared secret about the Borrower community living in the building with them. Sam knew her, so this should be relatively easy, right? Heart suddenly in her throat, Ashlynn stepped up to her mailbox and used her constricting throat as an excuse to clear it with a polite cough. Sam immediately looked over at her and smiled. "Oh, hello, Miss Ashlynn," he said, eyes twinkling with youthful enthusiasm. "How are you today?" "I'm doing well," said Ashlynn. "Picking up your mail?" "Yep, it's the last thing I have on my list of things to do before I get to hang out with, with one of my friends. Just coming to play some games virtually, and so I'm joining them online," said Sam. Ashlynn felt a bit uneasy. Why did he hesitate? Why did he change what he was going to say? She decided to press a little. "Oh, that's nice. What friend are you going to meet up with online?" asked Ashlynn, carefully pressing her luck. She turned the lock on her mailbox and glanced over at Sam, who was now fishing out his mail quickly. He's not from here," said Sam. "Oh, homeschooled? Meet him online?" asked Ashlynn. Sam squirmed. Yeah," said Sam. His body posture changed significantly as he continued to avoid Ashlynn's gaze. Ashlynn knew how to play this, but she knew she needed to still be careful. "Sam, I know your parents are very careful and that you're careful, but meeting someone online is dangerous. People aren't always what they seem," said Ashlynn gently. Sam immediately looked up defiantly. "I didn't meet him online. He's a real person. Sam stopped himself and looked away quickly again. "We just don't get to see each other. Yeah, we don't get to see each other often. And I need to." "Is his name Hero?" asked Ashlynn quietly, eyes fixed on Sam's body. His body language immediately gave away his surprise that Ashlynn knew the name. His frame went rigid, and his eyes widened. It was obvious the young boy was trying to get a measure of Ashlynn as well. Sam stammered. Both of them looked around to see if anyone else was around them. Then Ashlynn, not wanting to intimidate the young boy, knelt and maintained eye contact with him, smiling reassuringly. "Sam, I know," she said softly. Sam stared at Ashlynn suspiciously. No, but what? I don't know what you're talking about. I need to," Sam stammered as he tried to avoid Ashlynn's gaze. "Sam, you don't have to keep their secret from me. I know about Hero," said Ashlynn quietly. With suspicious eyes, he stared at Ashlynn and evaluated her smile until, after several long seconds, the contagious smile spread across his face too. "You know Hero?" he asked. Then, what color are his eyes?" Sam asked. Ashlynn chuckled to herself. Sam had devised a little test of his own. Clever boy. "Green. Bright green," she replied. Instantly, the tenseness in Sam's body dissipated, and the smile spread wider across his face. "Oh," the boy breathed. "You really do know, but how?" "I've known for a long time," said Ashlynn, her voice just above a whisper. "I know we're not supposed to talk about it, but I wanted to thank you for keeping their secret. It's very important that we always keep this secret, okay?" "Of course," reassured Sam. "I'd never tell anyone. I didn't think anyone else knew." "And it needs to stay that way. Not everyone is as kind and thoughtful as you," said Ashlynn. "I'd never heard—" "I know you wouldn't," interrupted Ashlynn. "But others might, and that's why we need to make sure we keep them a secret. Okay?" Sam nodded, grin spreading across his face so wide it nearly reached from ear to ear. Promise, cross my heart. They shared a smile, and then both of them headed for the elevator. Sam acted like he wanted to ask questions all the way up to the elevator, but the same group of kids came back into the lift and rode it up with them. Instead, Ashlynn promised that she and Sam would talk soon as she exited the elevator, Sam giving her a little wave as the door slid closed behind her. Ashlynn walked back to her apartment and paused just outside the door. She hoped that she hadn't overstepped any boundaries, and that Sam would indeed keep his word. All the same, that little exchange told her that he could easily slip up if he was pressed too hard by someone else who knew about the borrowers. Silently, she prayed that day would never come. She slid the key into the lock, and he clicked open, sure to knock properly so the others would know she was home. Crossing the threshold, she was instantly greeted with smiles from all of her small companions, pushing aside her uneasy feelings for another time and another place. For now, the most pressing matter on their minds was what they should do for dinner and what movie they were going to watch after game night.